There's a 100-year-old double barrel up on the map that you don't want to cross, boy, it's all you can have. There's always someone selling, there's always something new. Get out of the way, progress is coming through. I'll take dancing roast and a little bit of clatter. If it's tried and true, that's all that matters. Some things don't get better. No, some things don't get better. Don't improve. Some things you just can't stand to lose. You'll have it forever and you don't give a damn. They don't make them like that and it sure ain't by hand. So keep your new version 2 point whatever. If the former still works, what's the point of the latter? Some things don't get better. Like an old piece of art that can't be replaced. Got it right the first time, it's still true today. But I'm okay with moping seen less shine when it's paid off and it starts every time. 'Cause it might rust, but it sure won't shatter. When shit hits the fan, you'll be glad you had it. Some things don't get better. No, some things don't get better. Don't improve. Some things you just can't stand to lose. You'll have it forever and you don't give a damn. They don't make them like that and it sure ain't by hand. So keep your new version 2 point whatever. If the former still works, what's the point of the latter? Some things don't get better. Like you and me, baby, we're still going strong. Where you go, I go, honey, all day long. Still don't know how I did it, I'm so lucky to have her. 'Cause she tells me I'm sexy when I get a little fatter. Yeah, some things don't get better. Some things don't get better. No, don't improve. Some things you just can't stand to lose. You'll have it forever and you don't give a damn. 'Cause they don't make them like that and it sure ain't by hand. So keep your new version 2 point whatever. If the former still works, what's the point of the latter? Some things don't get better. No, some things don't get better. No.
All right. Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Lamog. I'm a volunteer instructor with Guitars for Vets Cyber Chapter and with Cav Arts, the Challenge America Veteran Arts Community. Welcome again to Songs Sung True, a Veteran's View, where tonight we'll be featuring the songs and stories of U.S. Army veteran and Minnesota-based singer-songwriter Casey Cameron. Casey, I'm going to bring you up on screen right now. Hey, man, that song rocked, buddy.
That was a little bit of a blast from the past getting to sit here and watch that, man. So thanks for throwing it up. Appreciate it.
Oh man, you got a motorcycle, you got the guitar, you got a guitar around the campfire with friends, and just a kicking song. Was that your first video, by the way?
It was, yeah. That was my weird attempt at trying to look cool. It's not easy. especially if you're me, man. So
No, you looked great, and you sounded great as well too. Hey, it looks like you're sitting. That's not a virtual background now, is it? Where are you?
oh man, I right now I'm in South Central Nebraska at a very hidden location where we do some recording, and we had a studio session out here with some good friends today, and it's so beautiful this time of year that I feel like I'd be remiss if I sat inside right now on a night like this. So we're sitting out here on the porch of the studio and outside of Whole Ridge, Nebraska right now. So.
Well, this is the first for us for sure. Most of the guests that have come on here have been in their home studio, but it's good to see that you're out there, not only in the outdoors, but also out there at the studio as well too. Where I'm certain we're going to be talking more about that as the evening progresses. But let me introduce you formally to our guitar learning community. While hailing from Detroit, Cameron grew up country in his family's quarter horse business, where the records spun there included names like Reba McEntire, Garth Brooks, and George Strait. It was 20 years ago while attending Michigan State University when Cameron realized his musical capabilities and started playing drums with local bands around town. Eventually, he learned to play guitar, began writing his own songs, playing acoustic solo shows, and fronting his own band. Then, in 2015, Cameron joined the Army through the Nebraska National Guard. Throughout his time in service, he has been commissioned as an intelligence officer and had multiple tours of active duty. Simultaneously, he had been able to hone his musical craft. In 2022, Casey released his first EP, Don't Get Better, the title track from that song that we just played, which contained 5 songs. A year later, a 4-song EP entitled Average, and that was released. And now in 2024, Casey released the latest single, 40, which is now streaming on Spotify and other platforms. And he's going to fill us in more about that as well, too. Looking ahead, Cameron plans on touring extensively in the Midwest and South, along with his wife and songwriting partner, Kelly, Indiana. Did I miss anything there, Casey?
No, that was that was pretty good. That was pretty good, man. Yeah, we're looking forward to the release of our third album here, which is our first full studio album, a 10-song record here in October. We got 2 singles out off that thing, and the third one that comes out this Friday. So we're trying to keep this train rolling along, man.
Yeah, and what brings you to the studio that you're in right now? You're working on some new material, obviously.
Yeah. So as far as recent recording, I've been kind of splitting time between a studio in the Austin area, Yellow Dog Records, and then I have a new partnership for this new record with a producing duo out of one's out of Nebraska and one's out of Columbus, Ohio area. So we're getting all kinds of influences on this thing. So this new record we're just now starting literally today. It's produced by Luke Mills and C.R. Pendleton. C.R.'s done a lot of work in both Texas and Nashville. And so, yeah, we're lucky to have some people helping us out and hopefully eventually get it sounding pretty good. So let's see how it goes.
Well, that's awesome. I can tell you that it sounds to me, at least in your bio, and you've done some traveling, interstate travel from starting off in Michigan. And then in your bio mentioning that you've been through Nebraska as well too. You're now in Minnesota. Yet, that doesn't seem to hold you back from continuing to do music, all of this travel. Do you travel quite a bit? I get the impression that you might.
I do, yeah. I'm on a tail end of about an 8-day run between shows and rehearsals right now, and then we spend as much time on the road as somebody will pay us to open the cases up and play some guitar, man. So we try to keep busy. We'll probably be on track for close to 100 shows this year by the time we wrap up 2024, and then starting to book 2025 right now. It's starting to fill up slowly but surely. So we got to stay busy, man. That's the only way we get to make these records now anymore, because with everything being streaming, you got to be out playing the live shows in order to pay some bills. And so we try to hustle a little bit and keep the guys in the band fed. And then, the good thing is, though, we've got this new record coming out here pretty soon. And once we get a full record out like that, it gives us that vinyl that we can at least sell a little bit of music that way instead of it all being streaming, right? So hopefully people will pick up that and put it in their collection.
Wow, there's so much to unpack here. There's so much great stuff that you're just not only in your bio, but what you're talking about right now. Our guitar learning community We originally put them through teaching them how to play guitar. And then once they make it past graduation, we start to introduce them to such things as songwriting. And I know that one of the things that you and I spoke about probably about a month ago or so is, I got this song, and I really, really like to, share it with everyone and see, if we can kind of maybe collaborate on finishing it,
Yeah.
which is a first for us. Now, you've written a number of songs. Do you typically collaborate with others, or is it something that you enjoy doing on your own, or?
Yeah, if I get a chance to, I absolutely love to collaborate. I do write a lot on my own, but again, I mentioned producing partners and stuff. We're gonna be working with them a little bit, and that's where most of the time I bring kind of a mostly what I consider a finished song. But every time you get it in the studio, it changes in some way. We'll rewrite a bridge, we'll rewrite a hook, something like that, and it usually finds itself, walking away feeling like it became a better song for it. But so yeah, in music, man, collaboration is everything. It's about who you surround yourself with. It's the influences you have growing up, and the life experiences that go into that song. Usually there's something that happened that becomes the start of a song, right? Whether it's army stuff or just life stuff in general, relationship stuff is clear. Keep in mind, I'm a country music Americana artist, right? So it's all going to be pretty personal stuff, so.
Sure. I want to go back to, your first song. Let's talk about that song. Can we revisit how that song came about, and maybe kind of you can set the stage for songwriting? Maybe you can talk us through what were some of the earliest memories of putting that song together before you actually sat down and write lyrics and such.
Yeah, so that song was just born out of the concept of what it's trying to say, and I was just probably feeling a little nostalgic at the time. Like I said, that song was written quite a while ago, probably close to 10 years ago now. But yeah, it was kind of an age where like we're always hustling to get newer, better stuff. What I mean? When it's cell phone coming out every 6 months, it feels like you're obsolete, or computers or vehicles or anything like that. And I'm originally from about an hour outside of Detroit, and so obviously the big three, and auto workers and Detroit steel and cars and everything are a really significant part of my growing up, and a lot of friends that worked in that business, and some of the coolest cars out there are the oldest ones that still run, right? So
For sure.
there's a line in there that talks about, if it's paid off and it starts every time, it's probably doing the trick, right? So and literally, million-mile vehicles still doing the job. And so yeah, that was just the concept of the song, and I thought it'd be cool to try and bring something together where it's okay to slow down a little bit and hold on to the stuff that you really enjoy instead of just constantly trying to find the newest best thing.
Absolutely. Do you remember in your youth doing any type of creative writing that kind of helped you get to this path of lyric writing?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of classes that I did very well in, but English and creative writing were one of them. So I always enjoyed if I got to sit down, put pen to paper, especially if it was more in a creative sense. But even if it was a research paper or something like that, you could find those ways to be creative in the way you put that prose together, right? So no, I always enjoyed writing for sure. So.
Do you remember anything from your youth that it's like, okay, oh, cool, this is the first poem, or the first writing that you were most proud of, and maybe you can even share with us who you shared that with, just to say, I could do this. Do you remember anything like that?
Oh man, in terms of songwriting, I don't know, because the tough part with poetry, I never sat down and really tried to write like poetry. I don't think, unless it was a school assignment, like putting together a sonnet or a haiku or something like that, right? But honestly, I don't know as I had a moment until more recently where I sat down and I sat back and I looked at something I'd written and was real proud of it. And the reason is that it's such a progression. If I went back and, matter of fact, I was cleaning out this like storage locker thing recently, and I found an old notebook that was some of my first attempts at songwriting, and most of it's garbage. And so
They'll start somewhere though, right?
yeah, well, and I take that, I take that back a little bit too, because one man's garbage at one point in his life, that song might have been pretty cool to me when I was 21, right? But I'm 40 now, as the album would indicate, and so that at 40, I'm writing a very different type of song than I was when I was 21. Sit down and look at some of the stuff I wrote when I was in my mid 20s. It's probably talking about trying to meet the hottest girl in the bar and have the truck that's the coolest looking and goes the fastest and all that stuff. And there's just different things that are important to me now. You know what I mean? So but it is for that reason. It's fun to look back and watch that progression, right? And so going from more kind of bro country stuff to really trying to be more of a soulful songwriter for sure. So
okay, well, real good. So we talked a little bit about the beginnings of lyric writing. Did you come from a musical family?
A little bit, yeah. So the ironic part is not necessarily in my immediate family. I think both my sisters would tell you they can't carry tuna in the bucket. They're not as bad as they think they are, but I tell you what. So I had I have an aunt and uncle that are about 50 years in the music business right now, with a rock band that's been pretty successful around Michigan and surrounding states. Called Livewire. They're super awesome. My uncle's a drummer, and my aunt Pam's a bass player and lead singer, and they're super cool. But no, not so much in my immediate family. My dad actually he can sing pretty good, but you got to catch him when he doesn't think anybody's listening. You know what I mean? He's singing along to a George Strait record or something like that. No, so here and there, I think Dad played a little bit of accordion of all things when he was younger, and just kind of got away from it and stuff, but. Yeah, it's definitely been something where I'm kind of a black sheep in the family, especially with as much as I play music, right? I have a tendency to get attached to things, and when I really like something and I enjoy an experience, I tend to take it a little too far, So, hopefully y'all out there that are going to watch this and are listening now and are starting to play around with guitar, you're starting to experience that moment where you get a song, start to finish. You're like, that was pretty good. I think I could do that in front of some people, but let me warn you, you do it in front of people and they like it and you like it, you're in for something. So be careful how much time you got to commit to this thing.
Genie out of the bottle. Yeah.
Exactly. You can't put it
boy. Well, you look like you're having fun at it. I mean, I stopped by your website and checked out the recordings that you've made and the videos and the photos, your electronic press kit. Man, you're all in. You're all in with this stuff, which is awesome. But what do you say we go ahead and take a break right now for one of your songs?
Sure.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what it is that you're going to play, and go for it.
So since we got things started here, Tom, with talking about songwriting and starting songwriting and in a progression that happens, I've got a song that was on the last EP that we did down in Texas, and this song is kind of a cool fit right here because the whole song is about starting out as a songwriter. The song is called Man from Tennessee. And ironically, this is a guy that I met when I was living in Southern California for a little while. And I was playing drums there a little bit, but I started playing guitar more and more, and I started writing more because I had a lot of time on my hands. I lived out there on my own doing this side gig job. And there was this old boy that worked doing kind of open mic stuff and some booking things for a club in Huntington Beach, California. And I came across him because I went out to one of the open jam things that he did on like Monday nights or something like that. And played guitar and sang a little bit. Probably one of the first times I ever did it, where I got out from behind the drum kit. He said, that was pretty good. Do you write songs by chance? I'm like, kinda, but I don't think they're any good. He's like, well, Thursday night is songwriter night. Worst thing, you just come out, you pick your best one, you sit up here and you play one, and we'll let you know if it's no good or not, and then we won't have you back. And luckily, he did a little bit, and and then I ended up playing there quite a bit, and even had a little bit of a band going by the time I left SoCal. So this one is all about Tim encouraging me to play my own stuff and get that going, and then playing it in front of people. And again, like I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, you kind of get that bug a little bit because there was other people in it hanging out, drinking beer at the bar that kind of liked it too. So it was on from there. So
Man from Tennessee, then?
Yeah, Man from Tennessee.
Casey Cameron, everyone.
morning, sit right down. Like me wanna hear your sound. That's what he told me the day I got to town. It's not too bad, my son, if you like. You can try your luck and play a few tonight. I could ask, say no. Guess it just felt right. So I put my pail up on the front of the stage and picked a few for loose dollars and change. And I drank a beer with a rowdy crowd. It hooked me in, man, it changed my life. I started chasing crowds under neon light. If you better look out, you know where to find me. Since I met that man from Tennessee. "15 years we've been making rounds, runway short. My tooth gets a little long, but it's all a blur. I played a million songs, but you strike that chord, you write them words, and you go like hell down a dead-end road, and you ain't sure why, but it's all you know. So I put my pail up on the front of the stage, pick a few for loose dollars and change, and I drank a beer with a rowdy crowd. It hooked me in and it changed my life. I started chasing crowds under neon light. If you better look in, you know where to find me. Since I met that man from Tennessee. New day comes with a blinding light. You find a buzzing phone and a warm bush light. Man, Tennessee's calling and needs a favor tonight. I got this young kid starting out, and he writes some songs. He's brand new to town, but he's got that sound. Could you help him along? And so he puts his pail up on the front of the stage. He picks a few for loose dollars and change, and he drinks a beer with a rowdy crowd. I watch it hook him in, and it changes his life. He starts chasing crowds under big spotlights. If you better look out, yeah, there's a long line like me. They're asking to meet the man from Tennessee. From Tennessee.
All right, Casey Cameron, man from Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Done, sir. Nicely done. Hey, so I got to go back to your drumming experience, and then having to finally face the facts that maybe it's time to set them down. What was that like? I mean, did you ever think that you were going to be putting down the drumsticks and picking up a guitar?
Well, I don't know how many folks that are on the call have spent a lot of time in bands, but you get to the point where you can have some really amazing experiences, and then you can have some other ones where you wish that maybe you had a little bit more control over your destiny, right? And I'll be the first to admit I'm a little bit of a process-driven control freak with certain stuff, and what it really came out of is just the desire to be able to kind of have my own deal going, right? And as much as I think it would be fun, you don't see a lot of solo drum acts running around out there in the bars. So I knew, if I really wanted to do it, I needed to pick up a guitar again. And I played guitar off and on, all the way back to like, grade school and stuff. But I knew I had to get back with it, and some songs started to come together, and that allowed me to really go back to the very grassroots level again and start by just playing on my own, just in the bars by myself, minimal overhead, and just try to build something. And eventually I met a couple band members. We went through a few at first, and all the way up to today, where we've really settled into, I've got a 3-piece band, kind of a power trio thing, and just with 2 guys that are absolute killers. And so I got my fiddle player, lead guitar player, Joshua, out of Des Moines, Iowa, and newer guy to the band, my drummer is Jeremy Ackley out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And it's just so fun to do it the way that I want to do it, and have really, really good partners in the business as well, right? So,
do you feel more comfortable playing as a soloist, or do you prefer the company of band members when you?
I definitely prefer the company of band members. A lot of the acoustic shows I do now, my like songwriter stuff and showcases and writers rounds and stuff, I do have at least Joshua with me. We do that 2-piece accompaniment with his mostly with his fiddle on when we do the acoustic shows and stuff. But I absolutely love being able to play with a band and make big noise and get the crowd dancing and all that stuff too. So it's fun.
So I'm going to take you back just a little bit to your career in the U.S. Army, and on your bio it said that you enlisted in the U.S. Army through the Nebraska National Guard.
Yep.
And maybe you can kind of tell us your inspiration for taking that path.
Sure. So yeah, I guess the best way to sum up my Army career is better late than never. It was something I kicked around all the time, coming out of high school and even college and stuff. And I graduated from both high school and college during kind of weird times. I graduated from high school about 7 months after 9/11, right? And so the world was a pretty crazy place at that time. And as much as I wanted to go, I kind of appeased my mother at the time and held off on joining the military at that time. And then, fast forward a little bit, really the main reason I did that was to go to college and finish on time. I had some friends that didn't graduate college, that are my age until they're pretty much about 30 years old, because they're just deploying all the time as guardsmen, and, they weren't able to stay in school. So I finished school at Michigan State in 2007. And that was kind of when the surge was happening, if you remember that. And so there was another weirdness there, where they actually recruitment was kind of strange at that time. But then I also had this job offer coming out of school, and it was like a really tough decision, but I took that job offer, and I kind of regretted it. And even though I did some fun stuff and everything, and it just always hung with me. And for some reason, it never went away. And by the time I got to 31 years old, it was something that I decided to reapproach. And the employer I had at the time was real pro-military, defense contractor in one division. And so yeah, I kind of revisited it, and everything finally fell together where I was able to do that. I went in on an 09 Sierra contract, and off to Fort Benning basic training, and then off to officer candidacy school after that. And 9 years later, here we are, sitting here as an intelligence officer in the Nebraska Guard. But a couple deployments, and it's been an amazing experience. It just started a little later than tradition. So.
Right. Well, either way you look at it, we appreciate your service, and I'm hoping that we'll talk more a little bit about what that has done for your music. I mean, were you able to carry some of the skills that you acquired through the Army and your experience, carry that into your music career? Because it's a tough career to be in if you're maybe not experienced and wearing a tough skin and all. What do you think? Did any of the things that you learned there carry over into your music career?
I'll tell you, anybody that's spent some time in the Army, or probably Marine Corps, or any branch of service, talks about, we know we spend a lot of time on resiliency training. If you can't lean on resiliency training as a musician and keep showing up, week in, week out. That's one skill that really comes top of mind with me. And then, more on the funny side of things, like if you were to ask my bandmates and any of the venues that I play with, when they see my setup and they see my gear come out of the van, dress right dress is probably the name of the term or the name of the game that makes its first impression. My stuff is pretty squared away, and I try to have good gear and replicate that sound. It's all about maintaining your equipment, right? And I do that with music too, because every time I open the cases up and I pull my guitar out and pull my microphone out, I want it to sound as good or better than the last time we did it. You know what I mean? And if anybody's ever been up on a stage where you got a XLR cord that goes out or something, or a microphone that just won't turn on, it's all usually because there's not a very good process behind maintaining your equipment.
That is so true. It's so true. So yeah, for those of you who are interested in doing, the performance aspect of singer-songwriter, guitar player, shoot for, aim high. Those goals need to be probably better than anything else that's out there in terms of your competition, because it does make a difference. So yeah. Well, real good. Now, let me ask you about, were you able to do music while you were serving? Were you able to break the guitar out and, play for your, for your cause? Do you remember anything that stands out as being memorable?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that. So my last deployment was to Africa, to the Horn of Africa. There might be some people on this call or watch this recording that have been to the exact same place I was at. But that deployment was from 2021 into 2022. And if you remember what was going on in the world there, we were still wearing a lot of masks. We were still getting a lot of shots in order to stay in the military. And there was a lot of things going on. And one thing that was not going on for overseas deployments, particularly in a location like that, was USO tours and MWR stuff and Armed Forces Entertainment, all of that stuff. So we were kind of on our own for that. If we wanted to have anything fun happen on things like 4th of July and Christmas and all the things we were there for, we had to kind of do it ourselves. And so I ended up being lucky enough to come across a couple of guys that were pretty good musicians, and we put some cover sets together and stuff, and had a lot of fun doing it. And then ended up doing one of the shows we did was the 4th of July celebration. It's at Camp Lemonade there. There's about 4,000 service members on the ground there, and it swells to a lot bigger than that at times. And during that time, that was the situation. And so, yeah, ironically, that was probably one of the bigger crowds I've ever played to, fronting a band at least. And it was 4th of July deal, so we had to play some good patriotic country music out there, and they do a great job. They got a really cool production crew and stuff, because normally they got AFE that's coming through, and they usually get some pretty big names that come through and play that stage, especially for 4th of July. But they were stuck with us, but it was fun for us, and I think everybody had a good time.
Oh, what a dream that must have been, for sure. Well, I'll tell you what, Lee, I think we can go ahead and take a break, because when we get back, we got to get still into the whole songwriting aspect of what you've been up to. But let's go ahead, play another song for us. What have you got there that you'd like to share with the audience here, and maybe a little story behind it?
Yeah, so we were talking about, fun experiences that happen because you're playing music. And I put together a song for this latest record that's coming out here. And this song actually comes out on Friday. And not only when this thing lands on Spotify or wherever you stream music on Friday, it's also going to be the day that the album actually becomes available for pre-sale on my website. And this song's called Church. And one of the things I realized when I was writing this song was that, in whatever you believe, whatever you, pray to, one of the things that you'll experience through music is that it can feel almost as spiritual as a religious experience, if not as much so. And so, the song talks about it, but because I'm a musician, I'm on the road all the time, and I probably don't go to church as much as my mother would like me to. But I like to think when I'm playing music and I'm writing some of these words, it's a pretty good substitute. And so we put together this song called Church, and it's talking about that parallel that happens.
All right. Casey Cameron, everyone.
I don't know how to pray, not sure the words you say. It's been a minute since I've been to church. Some say I lost my way, but I'm looking for connections. The truth and light He showed me. I headed to the church of country music. It might be the same thing. Just write these words. I don't know all the gospels and hymns, but I've been around the world. There's been one thing I know to be connected. Life that show me the way. Head to the church of country music. Might be the same thing. I don't know how to pray. I don't know which words to say. I head to the church of country music. It might be the same thing.
Casey Cameron, everyone. All right. Thank you, sir. That's awesome.
Thanks for letting me do that, man. Appreciate it. Thanks. I kind of cut that song short a little bit too. If you guys go listen to it when it comes out on Friday, there's an outro on that thing that is just absolutely wailing guitars and a lot of really cool stuff with some incredible players that we were able to bring in the studio on that song. So
that's awesome. Do you I know you've got your website, you've got also some videos posted as well too. I didn't have a chance to check other than the videos that you produced, but do you have live recordings out there of you playing?
Yeah. There's my YouTube channel's got some stuff out there. I probably need to build up the actual live content a little bit, but yeah, there's definitely a little bit of content there from some shows and stuff like that too. So the other one too is a lot of that stuff goes more to the social networks now. So Instagram at Casey Cameron Music and Facebook, and then TikTok right now. It's all about TikTok. I held off for so long on TikTok for obvious reasons. I mean, goodness gracious, I'm an intelligence officer in the Army, right? But I finally got talked into to having a TikTok account. I just don't keep it on my cell phone. So
good. Yeah, good to know.
There's some other content over on that thing too. So check it out.
Real good. So let me go ahead and ask you some targeted questions that might be of interest to our guitar learning community.
Sure.
how did you learn to sing and play guitar?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I would tell you that I'm really probably most grateful to my drumming background for that, because I think I just got used to, before I ever really got reinvested in guitar and stuff, I got used to just keeping a rhythm. You know what I mean? And you know, when you're up there, it's kind of hard. You know, I played all kinds of different bands and stuff, and a lot of rock bands and stuff like that. It's hard, you know, when you're playing like an old Seeger song or something like that, to not be singing along with it. So I think I just got used to playing drums, and even though I didn't have a microphone, I was just kind of back there just singing along and having fun. It helps you keep track of where you're at in the song and stuff if you're not a big counter, which I wasn't. I was never a big counting drummer. And so yeah, that's kind of how I did it. And honestly, I don't ever remember like trying to sit there and like and then like put words down. I just kind of just did it. You know what I mean? That's a terrible answer. I'm sorry, Tom.
That's cool. Hey, you know, we get it. We get it. What about music theory? Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's touch on that for just a moment here. Was it something that you needed to understand in order to pursue this career in music? You know,
Yeah.
importance of, you know, reading music and notes, note values, rest values, and everything else that goes in with music.
Yeah, so I don't read music. I'll tell you that straight up. And to be honest with you, I don't know a lot of singer-songwriters that do. There's some cool programs out now, though, that where you can actually just play, and it will transpose it to sheet music. If you have studio musicians and stuff, which I've had where they've requested it and stuff, I'm like, I don't know, let's hope this computer program works, and I'm going to sit down and play this thing, and I guess it worked out all right in some cases. But no, I don't read music, but what I do try to do is, you know, in terms of theory, I guess I am okay with playing things by ear. I can typically identify notes okay, and the reason that works is then when you run it in reverse, a lot of my songs start out as a lyric set. So way back to one of your original questions, I do kind of write poetry first, and when I'm attempting to put a song down, and where it doesn't have music, typically I've got a pretty good lyric structure going, and I got a melody in my head, and so you take that lyric structure, and then you put a melody to it, and you're singing just raw lyrics. But then when you go to put music in it, now it's just a matter of trying to find the right note on the guitar that matches what you're already singing, is my process. So some people are exactly the opposite. You know, they might like put together some kind of little head lick or something on the guitar, and then they have to go find words for it. You know, that's a lot of really famous, especially rock and roll songwriters would do it that way. You know, anybody ever seen, you know, how Queen and their process where Freddie Mercury and stuff, they'd start playing something on a guitar, and then Freddie Mercury would sit back behind the piano and just start putting words down, right? And like, I'm exactly the opposite of that. I need to have a story, like a written story that then falls into lyrics, and then as I'm starting to sing a melody, now it's a matter of finding that note on the guitar that matches the melody that I've already developed, right? And so, you know, I might start with a basic chord structure and like, well, that's pretty close, but it's maybe a step or two off or something. And so sometimes, you know, the benefit of being an acoustic guitar player, I'll just pick up my trusty capo and slide it up the neck a little bit until I find what I'm looking for. If it's like, you know, if it's a G or whatever, right? Like, you know, that's probably not quite it, you know. And so I'm like, hey, let's try this. Let's go full step up. That's what I was looking for. So it's not G, it's A, right? And so then we go from there. Right?
There is a whole lot that goes into songwriting. I know maybe now is the good time to kind of step our guitar learners, our audience this evening, into what we were talking about doing, and that is actually engaging the songwriting process collaboratively. Now that you've kind of given us a primer of how you look at it, how that works with you, what's the process? What is it that you start off with, and how is it that you usually bring in a collaborator? How do you do that?
Yeah, so usually a lot of my songs will start as like literally like one line, right? Like the song I just played, I think it was just that opening line, like, I don't know how to pray, right? I'm like, that's kind of a cool concept, because I was thinking a lot about like I don't know if any of you ever been to like a church that you're not used to going to, and they start doing some stuff that you have absolutely no idea what's going on. Particularly, I'll just say Catholic churches. You know, they start, oh shit, everybody's kneeling. You feel like you're supposed to kneel down or stand up, or you just don't know what's going on if you're not used to that church, and kind of makes you feel like you don't even know how to pray, and it doesn't seem like that's the way it's supposed to be. And so it just kind of went from there. So I don't know how to pray. I'm not sure the words you say, right? And well, now I know I've got an AA structure on a rhyming scheme, right? And so we just keep going from there, and we just try to put as many lines down on the page as we can. And then, you know, when you write out a line like that, every sentence, even if it's just a written sentence that you never think about, it could be, you know, the dog walked to the park one day. Every sentence has some sort of pentameter to it. There's a rhythm to the words. The dog walked to the park one day. Dog walked to the park one day. You know what I'm saying? And so if you want to choose to, you can sing any line in the world. You can read the phone book and sing it if you want to. It's just a matter of what naturally comes out that matches to that sentence, right? And so that's how the melody gets developed, and then you just go from there. Not to oversimplify it, but it is kind of simple if you think about it.
All right. So, you know, ironically, we have actually pitched the Guitars for Vets Learning Center community with the idea of jumping into songwriting as you know, our next topic of conversation.
Cool.
So what I'd like to do is bring Paul Lilly in, because he is actually leading the effort in the songwriting ideas, and maybe the three of us can kind of start this conversation of brainstorming and all. Paul, thank you for joining us. You know, do you have any
Absolutely.
initial questions, you know, with regards to songwriting?
Well, I think, Casey, you need to know that there's been a lot of some chatter in the chats. And after you sang your first song, you know, it mentioned a beer. So started talking about like the themes in country music. So the group has a songwriting challenge for you, that you should write a song about a non-alcoholic beer, but keep it country, and see if you can do that.
I think I did see one comment about like stretching out duels or something. Yeah, I think that would be pretty good. That'd be interesting there. Let's see what we can
Yeah.
get.
That was from one of our graduates who's now one of our teachers. O'Douls, you are a friend of mine. So,
That's the comment. Yeah.
and that's from Baltimore. And he also did have a question. Wanted to know if music is your full-time job.
It is not. No. I hope to get there someday, but I'm kind of in a phase in the music business right now where it's a real heavy investment. We got a lot of stuff going on. We're making a lot of music, and there's costs associated with doing that, and particularly with putting diesel in the van and trying to get from point A to B. So no, I'm lucky enough to do some contract work for the motorcycle division at a company called Polaris, and so I'm over in the Indian motorcycle division, if anybody's familiar with that brand.
Is this is it a quadro? It's a three-wheeler, isn't it? Is that the one?
No, so Indian motorcycle is kind of a main competitor to Harley Davidson. Been around since
Right.
1901. And,
I was thinking about the Polaris. I thought I saw a Polaris once.
oh yeah, so you're probably thinking of Slingshot. Yeah, there's a reverse.
I thought,
side on
The Indian motor,
Slingshot. Yeah, but
the
yeah.
the Indian motorcycle in that first video, is that like an employee perk?
It kind of was. Yeah, that was a
That's a
bike
gorgeous
that.
bike.
wow.
Yeah, that's a bike I've been tweaking and building on that thing for. That bike's about 10 years old now. But yeah, that was our first model, a Chief Classic 2014. First model, first color, first everything. And I always held on to that bike because I thought it'd be kind of a cool thing to have one day. You know, we look back 50 years into the business or something like that. And that's the first one. So.
Well, I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to take us off topic. So songwriting, I know when we graduate our veterans after giving them 10 hours of lessons, often they're wanting to kind of keep their learning journey with the guitar going, and some of them want to learn to sing and play these great songs they grew up on. But others want to dabble with creating original music, whether that's, you know, songs and lyrics or instrumentals on the guitar. And so for our chatsters who are on tonight, we've got the Guitar Player's Toolkit, which is kind of tools you need in your guitar bag to start you on that process. So it teaches you about what chords are in a key and how to use a capo. I think we've got like 8, 9 different ways to use a capo. But Casey, I guess what I wanted to ask, I think a lot of us that are kind of flirting with songwriting, do you know when did you consider yourself a songwriter? Was there like a moment that crystallized for you, or was it a slow, gradual thing that, oh, I'm a songwriter now?
So when I first started out, obviously, I'm out real busy all the time. You just kind of naturally gravitate towards putting together a big set of covers, right? And I apologize, there's like a helicopter or something flying over now, but, live podcast. But so yeah, you gravitate towards playing covers, and I had a ton of fun with that. But I always found myself, when I get a chance to go out and play shows with other bands and stuff, the guys that I really, really just had this super high level of respect for were the ones that were out, doing it for themselves, right? And selling records and creating a fan base, based on the fact that they write these songs and they pour their heart and soul into their music. And don't get me wrong, you can put a lot of emotion into a cover song, and you could do some really cool things, but it's just kind of like a next level when it's the words that you wrote, and it's the words you wrote about your life. And that's probably also the reason that I like country music and Americana music so much, is because they're so storytelling driven, right? And so it just kind of became a big goal of mine. Like, man, how cool would it be if I could sit up in front of a crowd and play for 90 or 120 minutes, and it was all my music except for just a couple real special covers that I put together, and that's kind of where we're at now with the music career, and I'm proud to say that we do that, and we've got some people that'll come out and watch a show, and I don't know as they'd be there if I was just another cover bar band. They'd probably be at the college town, getting wasted and doing that thing, right? So
you're creating original art.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's wonderful to hear, because there aren't a whole lot of bands that are out there doing original music, at least here in my hometown. A lot of cover bands, but when you have those artists who have their own material, it's handled real special. I'm hoping that you're seeing the same experience with what you're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you just think about all the bands that you're a big fan of. You know what I mean? And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a dream to just continue to progress this thing and be able to play into bigger crowds. But one of the things that would mean a lot to me too is, and I have had, I got a couple things working now finally just for the first time, but one of the things that would mean a lot to me is to have bigger artists of some notoriety grab a song and put it on one of their records, you know what I mean? Because and so we're finally getting into a space now in both Texas and Nashville and stuff where we might be able to make some of that happen, but we'll stay tuned on that, and hopefully someday, right? So
okay, real good. So let's do the songwriting thing. So you started off with the one line, and then you started to come up with ideas on how is it that you add to that. And are there aren't any rules. I mean, does it even have to rhyme? Does it have to? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. I've always had some sort of rhyming scheme, because what it does is it kind of helps me stay on task. I usually take a pretty traditional, as you can probably tell from the first two songs I played. I usually go kind of verse, chorus, maybe a little bridge or something, and round it out with the last chorus that maybe's got a little tag in it or something, right? So I usually stay pretty structured in my stuff, so usually it rhymes, but because that's the other thing too is there's the songwriter thing, but then there's kind of this middle ground where you do want to, the position I'm in, different strokes for different folks, but the position I'm in, I'm kind of trying to write a little bit more now for commercial application, right? Radio friendly stuff and things like that. And what, a good rhyming scheme does for you is it makes it memorable to people, right? And, hopefully can drive along and throw Spotify on and sing along with some stuff eventually, right? So just try to make it so it'll stick in somebody's head, get that little earworm, as they call it. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. So did you want to play what you have so far for us to listen to? And then okay, everyone pay attention, because this is the audience participation section of our interview today.
All right, so this is we got any dog folks in the crowd tonight?
Yeah, I've got mine right here.
All right, cool. I got mine out here with me too. He's only 3 months old, little blue heeler pup, but he's starting to learn. So I've been kicking around this song for way too long. And when I was talking to you, Tom, about how we want to structure this, and you told me you got some newer guitarists in the house, and you got a couple folks that want to write some songs. I said, well, let's give them something they can write. And now this is, I will tell you, this is a fairly complete song. But the reason I thought it'd be kind of fun to throw this thing up is because this song has been so hard for me to write, because it's a pretty fairly emotional song about dogs. Because what's not emotional about dogs, right? And I started the song like 5 years ago when I lost my pit that I had for 14 years, and he was real special to me. But I think I'm really close on this, but I feel like it needs like a cool bridge or something. And so what I'm basically going to do, guys, is like show you, really give you a peek into the locker room of some of the places where I get stuck on songs, because I'm literally like humming the sound that I want to create with the lyrics, but I don't have the words to match the melody, right? And so I'm probably going to get to the bridge of this song, and I'm going to hum something, and I'll see if you guys hear something, and like Tom said, he's going to put this out on recording. You probably won't, if you don't get it the first time, maybe go back and listen to it later or something. But if somebody comes up with some cool ass words that'll tie this thing together and make a bridge out of it, I don't know, we'll try to get you a songwriter credit or something if I ever put it into the studio. So we're starting on a new record now, and maybe this Long Live Good Dogs will be on it. So we're gonna go something like this, man. This is one where I might not know where to start. How do you sum up someone that exists strictly on heart? Everywhere you go, they just want to go too. It's like they're only the good parts and they can't see the bad in you. God made man and woman, and you might think that's a pair. Then he looked down, they kind of look lonely standing there. He went back to work on a gift that he could send. He truly smiled down when he made man's best friend. So long live good dogs. God bless my buddy and the times we shared. God bless making bad times good and wishing we would have more years if only we could. Long live good dogs. And 10, 12 years just ain't enough, no. But as short as they were, it's like we don't deserve that kind of friend, and that's for sure. So long live good dogs. Making friends in this world ain't ever been an easy thing. When you find the best one, it's more like he found me. Who might have rescued who, I guess it's a little hard to say. But in those big brown eyes, we're looking good either way. So long live good dogs. God bless my buddy and the times we shared. God bless making bad times good and wishing we would have more years if only we could. Long live good dogs. 10, 12 years just
just ain't enough. Oh, but as short as they were, it's like we don't deserve that kind of friend. That's for sure. So long live good dogs. God bless my buddy every day we share. God bless a good day on the ride and running by my side with a grin about a mile wide. Long live good dogs. Said all them years just ain't enough. Oh, but as short as they were, it's like we don't deserve that kind of friend. That's for sure. So long live good dogs.
All right. Well, there's the song. And
So what y'all heard there was, there's a bridge in there that just doesn't have words yet. I think I got a kind of a tonality to it that I just can't seem to match some words there. So it needs a bridge kind of that works with the melody but also ties the song together, right? That's what bridge is meant to do is, sometimes you use kind of a callback method where you go back to something, back to the start of the song, like I kicked around, I talked about in the beginning, the first verse, opening line, I don't know really where to start, but where to end. So maybe the bridge can tell us where to end and summarize this thought all together. But I just can't necessarily put my finger on it. So I thought I'd bring it here to the group and we'll see if we can put a bridge in a song.
I think that, well, let me just throw this out there. It's just one idea. I've got my daughter's dogs here. We've got them for a few weeks while she's out on business. And what we're experiencing with these dogs is just the touch of the coat and the calming effect, the look in their eyes, those puppy dog eyes, and you can just see the stories in their, the tail, just the joy that the wagging of the tail brings. Just being able to communicate that in a way that people can relate to, those physical features in their mind. I mean, that would be one way that I might approach it. But there's just so many different ways to do that. Who else has got some ideas for this one?
Well, like I said, yeah, looks like we're getting some ideas in the group chat, but I don't know. Send me a DM on Instagram or something, or any number of social media platforms that you prefer. But send me a message, man. Let me know what you guys. Add a bridge from the dog's perspective. I like that idea. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' ideas. So we just thought it'd be cool to throw something out there and get your creative juices flowing a little bit.
Yeah, real good. So I'm just curious how you came across like the chord structure itself. And I know that it's not always that's the first thing that anyone thinks of. It's just one of many things that goes into songwriting. But how did you arrive at the chord progression that you used?
So yeah, and to be honest with you, I was when I originally started playing with this song or revisited it more recently, I was somewhere in here, like kind of thinking maybe it was up here like a B flat. So the other thing too with country music is there's kind of a core structure, and you get a lot of songs in G, obviously, C, D, all that stuff, and then B flat's been a big one lately. Like guys like Stapleton have used it quite a bit and stuff, and so you kind of can hear what I was talking about before when I developed that melody. Sometimes I'll hear something, I'm like, that's kind of got a melody like kind of similar to this other song, and when I first heard it, I was thinking it was going to kind of be here in like B flat or something. But then I started singing, it was like, I'll never know. And I'm like, nah, that's like high and kind of chimey. Like I didn't really like it that much. And then, so I just kind of started moving it around the neck a little bit, and then landed it in G. And then, what remember too is there's a Larry Fleet song that is honestly like probably top of my list, that one of the best songs ever, and it's called "That's Where I Find God." And I was thinking about this song, and dogs and all the things and emotions and stuff, and he does this cool thing when he plays it live, where he's walking that D string up, a step, but I knew, that song's in B. And I knew that was going to be way too chimey. So I'm like, well, what if I went like 2 full steps down and then still kind of played around with that kind of similar thing, and then like, oh yeah, there we go. And it just ended up being a match, you know what I mean? And so then you got a little bit of theory of relative minors too. Like, when you got a song in G and you kind of, you put that tag on the end of the chorus where you drop into E minor, right? That's pretty common use, method as well, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
Hey, so when you're saying something's too chimey, are you talking about like higher tonality, like too trebly, or?
Yeah, and voicings, right? So like, I can throw a capo on a guitar and be way up here, play a G chord, with a capo 5, right? And that song's in C, right? Well, then you got, C down here too, right? That's the same note, but totally different voicing, and it's going to give the song a very different feel, right? So, yeah, just playing around with different stuff. And I wish I could tell you, like, when I hear a song, I'm like, oh, I immediately know what the structure is. No, it's usually a trial and error thing. And, I'll try different notes and stuff to match with the melody in different parts of the song. And usually I have to try a few different notes until something kind of sticks. But once it sticks, it also can help refine the melody as well, because maybe you're singing it slightly different and you're like, no, but you know what, again, theory of relative minors, if I go to an E minor here, that's really going to take that, this is what we're in, so and maybe you sing it a little different because you found a note on the guitar that was real pretty too. So
Are you one who uses a capo quite often, or do you prefer just keeping things open?
No, I do, and the reason is I'm not that great of a guitar player, to be honest with you. It's a tool for me to be able to do what I want to do. I'm a kind of a mediocre piano player as well, and so sometimes I'll write on piano a little bit, but it just allows me to hit the easy button to find the voicings, as I was just mentioning, on the guitar that I'm looking for. And I try to keep things relatively simple, because also trying to be up there in front of people and actually play it. It's okay to make it easy to do it, right? And so, but don't get me wrong, like, I got tons of respect for where some of you are probably on your journey to really get to a super high level of playing. I'm going to continue to work on my craft as well, but yeah, I use a capo out of convenience, and I think most guitar players do. So.
All right. Oh, real good. Well, you know what? We are coming up pretty close to the end of the program here. What a wonderful visit this has been, Casey. Gosh, to share a little bit about your musical journey and some of the things that inspires a songwriter. And you've got some new music that's coming out too. Where can our community find more of your music and videos?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And the first thing I want to say is thank you very much for having me. I was like, and to be clear, like, I've been doing this for 20 years, and a lot of times when I go out as a songwriter, I still feel like a rookie. You know what I mean? When I get into songwriter rounds and I get with guys that have been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years, because, I've been playing music for 20 years, but really about maybe 6 or 7 years of really trying to buckle down and write songs and be serious about it. And there's guys that have forgotten more about that process than I'll ever know. And so I don't want to position this in any regard as like I'm some authority on songwriting, because I'm not. I'm still trying to learn myself, and I got a long ways to go. But for you guys to have me on here and talk about my process a little bit, I think it's really cool. And what is cool about it is, you can talk to somebody like myself that is still learning a lot about songwriting, and made a lot of mistakes and had to go through some stuff to try to figure it out. And if you guys, shoot me a note, and on socials, I'm at Casey Cameron Music. And if you didn't see it on the opener, the only thing that usually trips people up is I'm Casey, just the 2 letters. Like, Jones or Sunshine Band. So you can find me at Casey Cameron Music, pretty much as a handle on anything, Facebook, Instagram, X, I guess it's called now. But yeah, you guys are more than welcome to shoot me a DM, or even what I do a lot too. You talked about collaboration, Tom. The way that I do that a lot sometimes is iPhones are so handy, and I use the heck out of that voice note feature where I'll be driving. I spend a lot of time driving, guys. I have a van that is about 10 months old that has 40,000 miles on it. And so when I'm doing that, it's basically a safe method. You can just reach over and hit voice note, record with your phone sitting on the dash holder, and sing a melody into it. You don't even have a guitar, but you can come back to it and, hey, what was that hook that I was trying to figure out, or how did that melody work? And you can go back to those notes. And but the other thing it allows me to do is take those notes and send them off to other people. A lot of times I do it with my band leader and my fiddle player and guitar player Joshua, and I'll send this to him like, hey, is this hook any good? 9 times out of 10, he'll be like, nope, start over, bud. So
delete.
It's okay to tear the page out of the notebook and throw it out and start over again is what I'm trying to tell you. So, but thanks for letting me talk about it a little bit. It helps.
Paul, are there any more questions that have come up worth mentioning?
Yes. Just to restate that you went to Michigan State?
I did.
And we have someone who will remain anonymous from north of Columbus, and they just wanted to say OH.
OH?
Is that like O? No, it's not, is it? It means something else.
OHIO.
Yeah. Well, I did go to Michigan State. I'm not as hung up on schools from Ohio as our friends down in Ann Arbor, but I guess still a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, real good. Well, do you have one more song for us, or are you done? Because we could definitely love to hear one more if you got one.
Yeah, I'll play one more for you guys, and then we can wrap up and give you your evenings back. I know we got some West Coasters out there where he's probably still got some evenings.
The night is young.
Yeah, exactly. About my bedtime here on an off night like tonight, over here at the Central Time Zone. But
all right, what you got?
So what I'm gonna play for you guys here is this is about as songwriter as it gets with this song. This is not a commercially acceptable song, but a lot of people have liked it so far. It is the title track off this new record we have coming out. It's out everywhere now. You can go listen to it now. All right. I sat down and wrote a song about a birthday that I had this past May that was of some significance, and I like to tell people, like, hey, don't be too scared. Sometimes musicians get hung up like, oh, well, the crowd needs to think that you're 24 years old or whatever all the time, so you're cool. But you know what? I'm 40. I'm not getting any younger, and I wrote a song for other folks that are maybe 42 or have been 40 at one point, or maybe someday they look forward to maybe being 40 themselves. So, all
right, Casey Cameron, everyone.
How the hell get this phone? How can time pass like a light, like a stranger in the dawn? And it's amazing how we got here. And if we look back now and then, 150 million beers and a whole lot of good friends. Some regrets here and there, and there's some scars inside tonight, but I won't cover them up or hide them. There will make me who I am now. Yeah, this is for you. And a younger man thought this man owned, but if I could tell that kid a little bit of what I've recently been told, just like the man upstairs here, the lost ones won't have a chance. So be grateful, be mindful, it's only memories that last. This is for you. about the next one. Wouldn't that just be true? But if I make it that far, it's 'cause she agreed to be a missus and not a miss. And what a long, strange trip it'll be. And if it's any indication, the first 40 laps goes kinda quick, so focus on appreciation. This is for the younger man on this man old. If I can tell that kid a little bit of what I've recently been told, just like the man upstairs, the lost ones won't have a chance. So be grateful, be mindful, and make some memories that last. Yeah, be grateful, be mindful. You made it to 40.
You know, Casey, happy belated birthday, 40th. You got some great times ahead of you, my friend. These songs, these original tunes, the stories within them, they're so relatable. And it's such a pleasure to have you on the show with us. So love to have you come back sometime. Give us an update on your tour and any new recordings and all that. In the meantime, best of luck to you. Best of luck to you, in your musical journey itself. And I'd like to now take a moment to just thank everyone for watching Song Sung True, A Veteran's View. We hope that you've enjoyed our conversation with Casey Cameron. Tuesday, October 22nd, we're going to be joined by Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran and Georgia-based singer-songwriter John Hensley when he shares his personal stories from his time in and out of the service, life as a singer-songwriter performer, along with songs he's written. Until then, be sure to check out our live event programming schedule at the Guitars for Vets Learning Center for our monthly iJam Play Along, which is next week, Thursday, the G4V Guitar Shop, co-hosted with my buddy Daniel B., the Guitar Brigade with Paul and company, and so much more. cavarts.org. It's free to all veterans, no cost to join. For Guitars for Vets and CavArts, the Challenge American Veteran Arts Community, I'm Tom Lamog. Thanks for watching, and good night.
Thank you.